What if something sitting unnoticed in your pocket right now carries a hidden mistake from history that collectors would pay a fortune to find? Yet almost everyone overlooks it because it looks completely ordinary at first glance. First coin. The 1941 Lincoln wheat penny is one of those quiet pieces of American history that most people overlook without a second thought. At a glance, it blends into everyday change, worn copper tones, familiar Abraham Lincoln profile, and wheat ears on the reverse that seem unremarkable. Yet beneath that simple appearance lies a story collectors have been chasing for decades. In moments like this, it's easy to underestimate how a single cent from the early 1940s can still surface in circulation and trigger intense interest when the right details are present, turning what looks like pocket change into something far more significant in the collector world. Back in 1941, the United States was standing at a turning point in history, with global tensions rising and domestic production shifting toward wartime priorities, and this penny was struck just before copper would soon become a heavily controlled resource for war materials. The Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints were producing massive quantities of cents, but even in high-output years, subtle variations began appearing due to equipment strain and production speed. These small inconsistencies, almost invisible at the time, are exactly what modern collectors now search for, because they represent the unpredictable nature of early 20th century minting when precision wasn't always perfect under pressure. When you look closely at a genuine 1941 wheat penny, the details start to tell a different story than the surface suggests. The Lincoln portrait may show slight softness in the hairlines, while the wheat stalks on the reverse can reveal uneven striking or faint separation lines depending on the mint origin. Some coins carry a sharper, more defined relief, while others appear slightly flattened, almost as if the design struggled to fully transfer from die to metal. Even the mint mark, whether absent for Philadelphia, a small D for Denver, or an S for San Francisco, can dramatically influence how collectors evaluate the coin's rarity and desirability. The real excitement begins when minting anomalies enter the picture, because this is where the 1941 wheat penny moves from common collectible to highly sought-after discovery. Doubled dies, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks, and planchet irregularities have all been documented in auction records, sometimes creating coins that appear subtly normal until examined under magnification. In certain cases, lettering along Liberty or In God We Trust shows slight doubling that can completely change a coin's classification. Even small errors that most people would miss can create intense competition among collectors who specialize in early Lincoln cents. Stories from the collector community often highlight moments that feel almost unreal, where someone casually sorting through old jars or inherited collections suddenly realizes a single 1941 penny is different from the rest. There are documented situations where coins initially dismissed as ordinary change later resurfaced in professional grading slabs, revealing unexpected value based on condition, strike quality, or rare minting characteristics. It's in these quiet discoveries that the emotional weight of numismatics becomes clear, because what once passed through countless hands unnoticed can suddenly become the centerpiece of a serious collection. In reported auction environments, a standard circulated 1941 wheat penny might remain modest in value, but when specific conditions align, the numbers begin to shift dramatically in documented collector sales. Smaller but verified error examples have reached approximately $3,000 to $10,000, depending on visibility and authenticity, while unusual minting variations with clearer doubling or striking anomalies have been recorded around $18,000 in specialized auctions. High-grade specimens with exceptional preservation, strong luster, and minimal wear have pushed into ranges near $28,000 when certified by major grading services, showing how condition alone can redefine a coin standing. As the rarity factor intensifies, stronger error pieces such as prominent doubled dies or off-center strikes with clear design displacement have been associated with auction outcomes near $45,000, while extreme mint state examples with rare combinations of strike quality and preservation have approached approximately $65,000 in collector-driven markets. In even rarer documented cases involving unusual misstrikes or multi-era combinations, recorded sales have reached levels near $95,000, and exceptional one-of-a-kind examples with extraordinary characteristics have been reported up to $110,000, always depending on verified grading, demand, and market timing rather than any guaranteed outcome. This is why serious collectors emphasize careful inspection instead of assumption, because small physical details can completely change a coin's classification and potential desirability. Weight consistency, rim structure, strike sharpness, and even subtle doubling in letters should all be examined under proper lighting or magnification, as these are often the earliest indicators of something unusual. However, no evaluation should ever be considered complete without professional authentication, since grading services provide the verification needed to separate ordinary circulation pieces from genuinely significant numismatic discoveries that can reshape a coin's historical and collector value entirely. Next coin. A coin that looks like it belongs in every old jar, drawer, or pocket change pile might be hiding something far more unusual than most people ever imagine, and the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny is exactly that kind of silent mystery. At first glance, it appears completely normal, just another worn cent with Lincoln's profile and familiar wheat stalks on the reverse. But history has a way of hiding surprises in the most ordinary places. What makes this coin so fascinating is not what it shows at first sight, but what it can secretly become under the right circumstances. When a simple detail shifts everything collectors thought they knew. In 1944, the United States was still deeply involved in World War II, and the minting process had already gone through major adjustments the year before due to copper being redirected for military use. That is what makes the 1944 wheat penny so interesting, because production returned primarily to copper after the temporary steel experiment of 1943, yet the transition wasn't perfectly clean. A few leftover steel blanks from the previous year accidentally made their way into the presses, and this small mix-up created one of the most famous and unexpected variations in Lincoln cent history. It's this overlap of wartime urgency and minting chaos that gives the 1944 penny its hidden edge. When examined closely, a standard 1944 wheat penny shows a warm copper tone that ranges from bright reddish shine in uncirculated condition to deeper brown shades in circulated pieces. But the real intrigue begins when something doesn't match the expected appearance. Some rare examples carry a silvery gray finish instead of copper, immediately signaling a possible steel planchet error. Others reveal subtle misalignment in the strike, slightly off-centered portraits, or uneven rim pressure that suggests something unusual happened during production. Even the smallest irregularity in weight or color can completely change how the coin is interpreted by collectors. The error variations tied to the 1944 cent are where things become truly compelling, especially the rare steel cent produced accidentally during copper production. These steel-struck 1944 pennies are among the most sought-after minting mistakes in U.S. coinage history, often requiring expert verification to confirm authenticity. Beyond that, doubled die obverses, repunched mint marks, and weak strike anomalies also appear in certain documented cases, where letters in Liberty or In God We Trust seem slightly duplicated or distorted. Each imperfection tells a different story of a minting process under pressure, where precision was not always guaranteed. Collectors often describe moments of disbelief when they realize a coin they once ignored might hold significant value, especially when a 1944 penny shows unexpected traits. There are countless stories of people discovering unusual cents in inherited collections or old coin jars, only to learn later that what looked ordinary was actually a rare error piece. That emotional shift, from dismissal to shock, has made the 1944 wheat penny one of the most talked about coins among beginner and advanced collectors alike, because it represents the possibility that something valuable has been hiding in plain sight all along. In documented collector markets, the lower tier of 1944 wheat penny errors, including minor but verified minting inconsistencies, has been associated with auction outcomes ranging from approximately $7,500 to $18,000, depending on clarity, grading, and demand. More unusual misstrikes, where the coin shows noticeable displacement or strong visual abnormalities, have reached around $25,000 in recorded sales. High-grade examples with exceptional surface preservation and strong original luster have been evaluated near $40,000, especially when certified by major grading authorities that confirm both condition and authenticity. As rarity increases, stronger mint state errors with sharper detail retention and confirmed minting anomalies have been associated with values around $55,000, while rare misstrikes, especially those with dramatic visual shifts or unusual planchet characteristics, have been documented near $80,000 in competitive collector environments. Extraordinary examples that combine multiple rare traits, such as exceptional strike quality paired with verified error classification, have reached approximately $120,000. At the very top of the spectrum, unique or one-of-a-kind 1944 era coins with extreme rarity and strong market demand have been reported in the range of $150,000 in documented private sales and auction records, always depending on authentication and collector interest rather than guaranteed pricing. This is why careful inspection matters more than anything else, because the smallest physical detail can determine whether a coin is common or potentially extraordinary. Checking weight consistency, observing the rim for irregular shaping, analyzing strike alignment, and looking closely for letter doubling are all essential steps that collectors rely on before making any assumptions. Even the metal color alone can reveal whether a coin belongs to the standard copper issue or a rare steel era category, but none of these signs should ever be considered final without professional grading confirmation. In the end, the 1944 Lincoln wheat penny stands as a reminder that history can hide in everyday change, and sometimes the most ordinary-looking coin is the one that tells the most unexpected story. And if you're watching closely, don't forget to subscribe, because the next discovery might already be sitting in your hands, waiting to be noticed before this video ends.